My next guest makes her UFC debut coming up here November 10th. She's going to be stepping in for Maya Stevenson and facing Maycee Barber. It is Hannah Cifers joining me here on the program for the very first time. Hannah, how are you today?
I'm doing good, sir.
Great. Well, it's good to talk to you, and what an opportunity this is, getting to make your UFC debut on this big card. Where were you when you found out the news that you had been signed to the UFC?
I was working and it just took a break and I got a call that my manager wanted me to get in touch with him, and it was pretty exciting.
Very exciting. I mean, it's great to achieve the pinnacle of being in the UFC. Who was the first person you told when you found out the news?
Probably my dad.
And take me to that moment. I mean, that must have been a proud moment for you as a daughter to tell your father that you had made it to the big show.
Yes, I was really excited about it.
That's great. Has it still hit you yet that you're part of the UFC now?
I don't know. I still feel pretty excited like I did the other day when I found out. So I'm hoping I'll kind of settle into it a little bit more.
Right. I'm sure it'll hit you more once Fight Week comes about and you actually travel to Denver and everything. Were you expecting this? I mean, you have a great record, but you never know with the UFC when it comes to signing fighters. Was this something you were expecting after your last fight?
Not right away, sir. I had planned to book a fight with Invicta for probably December, and I got this offer, and it was really surprising.
Yeah, and it's obviously great news. Like I said, it's a big card. But before we talk about the fight, I wanted to talk a little bit about your backstory. I know you're into farming, cutting logs, all this stuff. You're an outdoors person. Is that something you've been doing your whole life, or is that something you got into recently?
Pretty much my whole life.
Do you feel like when you work on a farm, you sort of develop that work ethic? Get up early, take care of the animals, everything else. Do you feel like that's helped you in your martial arts career?
Yes, sir. I mean, I've always liked rising before the sun's up and working hard until after the sun goes back down.
Great. And you mentioned you have a job on top of fighting. What is it you do for work, or is it just you working around on the farm?
I work on our farm, and I do some side work on other farms too, and I do like a lot of other jobs too. I like being busy, working hard all the time.
Of course, yeah, it's that mentality, right? You gotta stay busy. How do you balance training and working? Like, when are you training typically, and when are you working?
Mostly I train in the evenings. That way I can work pretty much all the time. I'll schedule work and stuff around training so I can train as much as I need to.
Okay, that's great. And what's your favorite part of working on the farm? Is it getting to be with the animals? Is there a favorite part that you enjoy doing more than others?
I really like working with the animals. It's probably my favorite thing.
Now, is there a favorite animal you have? Is there an animal you like more than others? I don't want the other animals to be upset when you say this, but I want to hear, is there one in particular you like?
As a total species, I like chickens are probably my favorite, but I do have a little dog I'm pretty partial to too.
Okay.
And I got a goat. It's kind of tied between the dog and the goat.
Okay, I like that. And I guess, do you eat a lot of a lot of the food you eat, for your training camps and stuff? Does that come from the farm? Do you get stuff locally grown?
I guess most of the stuff I eat we grow ourselves, meat and vegetable wise.
That's good to hear. Now, where did you, or I shouldn't say where, when did you get involved in martial arts? When did that come on your radar?
I was 19 when I started training for the first time.
Okay, and what got you into it?
My dad wanted me to learn some self-defense to protect myself, and I started training. I really enjoyed it, and it just kind of went from there.
When was that moment for you where you realized you wanted to do this as a career? Because it's one thing to just train it on the side, but then it's another thing to actually be a professional.
The first place that I ended up trying out, the man's wife, she had an MMA fight, and she seemed to really enjoy it. And so a couple months in, I was like, yeah, I would like to fight.
Okay. That's excellent. And you got hooked, as they say, right? You get, once you do it and you fall in love with it, you can't stop, right? It's just so much fun.
Yes, sir.
Excellent. Okay, so they tell you you're fighting Maycee Barber in your debut. Did you know anything about her before you took this fight?
I had watched her fight on the Contender Series. I like to watch a lot of the UFC events when I can.
Okay, so now that you've had a chance to sort of assess her as an opponent, how do you feel like you match up against her?
I think it should be a very good fight. It's going to be interesting for everyone to see.
Okay. And do you feel like the pressure's on her in this fight because she's from Colorado? She won in the Contender Series. She's really young. I think there's been a lot of hype behind her. And you're coming in here as a late replacement. Do you feel like the pressure's on her?
I guess. I mean, I don't really mind fighting with someone else. It's fun. Most of my fights are away from where I live. I do mostly travel for mine.
Okay, yeah, it's especially on the regional scene. Usually, you have to go into someone else's backyard to fight, so you're used to that. What about training camp? Who are some of the people that you work with, and where are you training right now?
I'm training at Elevate MMA Academy in Durham, North Carolina. My head coach is Cody Malte. He's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, and my head coach. And my boxing coach is Matt Jenkins, and have wrestling coach and stuff. But really, all my whole team and training partners really helped me a lot.
And who are some of the training partners you get to work with over there?
I don't want to name like specific, but I mean, just everybody there just puts in a lot of effort to help me when I have a fight coming up.
That's good. And what about the weight cut? Obviously this is a short notice fight. Is that, I imagine the process started the second you got the fight?
Kind of, sir. At 15, I walked pretty close to that weight, so I don't really have to do a lot.
Oh, that's good.
Last year at this time, I took a fight at 110 on 5 days' notice.
Really? Okay. And how was that weight cut?
It was a little more. I actually had to actually cut weight. My coach tells me that since I don't really do anything, that it doesn't count as cutting weight.
What about this is going to be in Denver, so it's going to be at elevation. How have you sort of dealt with that in your training? Do you just do a little bit more cardio to compensate for that?
I try to do more cardio, but I fought in Albuquerque back in June, and it's very similar elevation, so I'm trying to make it do similar to what I did for that fight.
Okay, that's good. Good to have that example. Who's going to be in your corner for this fight?
My coach Cody Malte and my manager Lamont Chappell.
Oh, great. That's good to hear. And how do you see this fight unfolding on November 10th? We're expecting a really high-level fight.
I think it's going to be a pretty good fight. I mean, I'd like to win, but let's see how it goes that night.
Yeah, for sure. And it's just, two, rising prospects like yourself. I think it's going to be a great matchup. We talked a bit about, what you do outside the cage with the farm and working and everything like that. Do you watch any TV at all, or is that not even on your radar? You're just so busy.
I don't get to see much.
Okay, fair enough. No, because I know how busy it is, right? Like, how early do you get up on a normal day, just out of curiosity?
Like 5 o'clock.
Okay, and then what time do you go to sleep? Are you do you go to bed late, or do you try and make sure you get your 8 hours?
I don't sleep a whole lot either because I train really late, so probably 11 or 12ish when I go to sleep.
Okay, that's good. And I guess you're just so used to it with working on the farm that you don't need a lot of sleep.
No, so I've always done it my whole life pretty much.
Okay, great. Well, we're looking forward to this fight. It's coming up here November 10th. It is UFC Fight Night 139. Hannah, it was great getting a chance to talk to you. Just remind people where they can find you on social media, and if you have any sponsors or shout-outs, the floor is yours.
I'd like to thank my management team at LCA Sports Management for getting all this set up for me and all, and my team at Elevate MMA Academy.